Today we're here with Cutter.
Cutter has a little age, but as we know, age is not a disease.
And one of the things that we noticed as we watch Cutter walk on the cement is that you can hear his toenails clip the ground every time he walks. That is a major source of neurological input for the dog.
It tells their brain how far their head is from the ground, where it's going, what is moving, and how hard to step.
And the only time that the dog's toenails should actually touch the ground are when they're walking up a hill or digging a hole. And if he's walking up a hill and his toenails touch the ground, he'll lean forward. But that's...
In order to balance, he has to bend his knees.
And that does several things. Number one is it takes and makes him start to use muscles that are meant to mobilize. Normally when we stand up straight, we're using our stabilizing muscles. And those muscles have a lot of connective tissue. They use energy sources that are in the cell, very efficient. They don't get tired very easily, and we can stand around for long periods of time. When we have to stand like this, and now all of a sudden we start to use mobilizing muscles to stand, now we're using muscles that don't have the connective tissue. They have longer fibers. They use an energy source that causes lactic acid buildup. If you stand like this for a while, you'll start to feel the burn in your muscles right in here. Okay?
And animals that have to stand like that all day long because they either that or they lay down have fatigued muscles. They're fatigued before they move.
And the number one cause of sports injury in any species is fatigued. So the other things though that happen when we stand with, if you have a dog that stands with a roach back,
okay.
And I'm going to put my hand in here and roach Cutter's back a little bit, but we're going to change the angle.
Roach just means arched.
Arch his back. We change the angle of his stifle or his knee, okay? And that knee is has some built-in stability from lateral to medial, but if we bend that knee, then it becomes, that stability all goes away. So all of a sudden now we're putting more strain on our cruciate ligament, and one of the major problems in this particular joint, or the stifle or knee of a dog, is that they tear their cruciates.
Because the cruciate is not designed to take a load, it's designed to keep the knee stable, not stronger.
And stable at a specific angle.
What we're going to demonstrate is how to trim these toenails so that we can make them effectively shorter and make them work. Oftentimes people are afraid to trim their dog's toenails because they're going to make them bleed. Part of the problem with that is that they want to trim the toenail along the bottom where all the nerve and muscle and soft tissue lies. But what we want to do is trim the toenail across the top.
Another reason that people have trouble trimming toenails is because they say their dog wants to fight them all the time. And a couple things that you can do that will help. One is bring the toenail backwards. People say, oh, you're doing it like you would trim a horse. Well, okay, yes, maybe. But the thing that we're doing is we're helping the dog be more comfortable. So we are bringing the leg backwards. And if you notice, she's trimming the front of the toenail and not necessarily the bottom of the toenail.
And really, I don't even care if I don't trim the bottom of the toenail because I'm trimming the strong part of the toenail.
The strong part of the toenail. And if we can get the camera to zoom in on this nail right here that she's not trimming, zoom in on this one right here. These nails are very black. Okay. The spine of the toenail is right here on the top. This is the strong part of the toenail. The quick is in the middle of the toenail, and sometimes if you have a white toenail you can see that. That's the part that bleeds. And then below the quick, along the bottom curvature of the toenail, is where the nerve would be. And that's where the tenderness would be. So if we can trim the front of the toenail down, like she is showing us with Cutter, then the nail gets weaker, and as the dog walks, he will actually trim his own toenails and make them shorter.
One of the secrets to being able to trim the strong part of the toenail is to have the toenails wet. When they're damp, they're softer.
And people are going to say, well, Cutter's standing so good. There's a couple things that you can do at home to help. One would be to lay your dog down. And if you just hold your dog and gently lay him down on the side and put your hand on his neck, okay, like that. And we'll turn him around so that, whoops. See, as soon as I took my hand off his neck, he got up. Now let's watch this again. Lay him down and put your hand on his neck. Oh, you're all right, Cutter. You're okay.
Good boy.
And there's a riding reflex that these animals have, and I'm sure that everybody's heard of that riding reflex. And as long as we hold Cutter's neck and keep pressure on his neck, we're confusing the central nervous system and his riding reflex. And so he's laying here very quietly while Dr. Amy is trimming his nails. She's trimming the front.
Because he's not really sure where up is.
And I don't have a lot of pressure here. I just am holding it. And she trims the front and the sides of the toenail. She doesn't really worry about the bottom. And they know at home you're saying, well, but there's two of you.
Wait. It's the last one, I know.
And that's why it's so easy.
And sure, it's always easier when you have two. He's a little tender on this toenail. So for me to get, there we go, up that ridge.
So but if you're there by yourself, you can, if you remember this riding reflex, see, I could trim him.
With your arm on the neck.
Leave my arm on the neck.
The back legs get a little more difficult for one person, but it's possible.
And if you're doing it by yourself and you can't get your dog to lay down, we'll show you a couple tricks here in a minute on the other foot.
Remember, the key to this is being a little bit expedient, and it's a lot easier to be fast if the toenail's soft. So wetting the feet is really important, and it doesn't take a lot. Walk them in the wet grass.
Yeah, all right.
Just walk them in the wet grass for a few minutes. Get up, buddy.
All right, and see, as soon as I took my arm off his neck, Cutter got up.
He had no trouble getting up.
Right.
Good boy.
So the other way we can do this is bring that leg backwards. And that's more comfortable for the dog than taking the leg forward.
And for people who have dog groomers that trim their dog's toenails, oftentimes your groomer doesn't know this technique either. So this is a good technique to share with them, because now they can become brain surgeons, not just groomers. This changes the way the dog's brain sees the world. Ta-da!
Okay. Now, let's see if we can watch him walk again.
Take him on the...
We'll start on the cement.
Come on, Cutter.
There's our shake just from our toenail trim. He's resetting his proprioception.
Come on, Cutter. We can still hear a little bit of toenail in the back feet, especially that back right, or left, I'm sorry. Come on, Cutter.
Okay, let's watch him walk on the grass again.
Yeah, he's dragging the back leg, but otherwise,
He's dragging his left leg, but you notice that he's holding it. He's not swinging it as wide as he was before.
yeah.